Hi there. Welcome to the PowerSchool Clerk Chit Chat recap for January 4th, 2024. So I will go ahead and share my screen. As I said, this is the recap for January 4th, 2024, the first Chit Chat WebEx for the year. I am Esther Lewars, and I am one of the supervisors in the Student Information Services Department. So today we covered quite a few things. We did our welcome, we went over important dates, looked at data management as it pertains to the data champions, some PowerSchool updates, where to find the SIS team folders, talking about duplicate records, how do we prevent and how do we process them, duplicate grades, looking at the out-of-sync report, and then touching on how we verify our contacts. And then the last two things we spoke about were the statutory tutoring, which related to information that was shared to school administrators today. So our director, Darren, sent out some information to all school administrators, especially those in the elementary school. And then to remember to access our resources, our newsletter, as well as our SIS support form. All right, so this is the Student Information Services team. As you can see, there's Dan, Alex, Darren, our director, Babu, myself, Esther, Pat, and Adnan, Dr. Izad. So this is the team of people who supports PowerSchool for the district. So you probably interact with myself or Adnan if you're in the elementary school. And if you're in the high school, Pat and Babu are the individuals that support the high school. And then Dan and Alex, work on various initiatives that cover across the district. So this is the team. So we all wish you a happy new year, and we continue to thank you for all the work that you do to support and maintain our data across the schools. All right, so the important dates. Again, the Chit Chat today on the 15th, that's Dr. MLK Jr. holiday. Then we're going to meet back on January 18th for another Chit Chat WebEx. The high school midterm dates and high school semester 1 final dates will start on January 25th through January 28th. All right, so as usual, any assignments that need to be a part of the midterm or the semester 1 final need to have one of those dates. No other assignments should have those dates. And so the quarter 2 ends on the 28th, and then quarter 3 begins on January 29th. And this image shows you the marking period timeline. This document is accessible from the district's website as well as our SIS support site. So as you can see, highlighted is on February 5th. Teachers are expected to complete their grade book with final grades and comments for quarter 2. So I know we just started January and we're still in the new year vibes, but before you know it, it will be February. So we want to start to think about planning and preparing for the end of quarter 2, as well as grades and finalizing and preparing for a report card. And I didn't really touch on that, but yes, we will store grades on the February 9th, and then report card distribution will be on February 15th. So that will mean you will need to update your document delivery. We didn't go into document delivery. We'll touch on that later on, but it's the same process like for Q1. And we have the documentations on our website. All right, so the data champions, here are the schools that had 0 errors when I ran the report yesterday on January 3rd, and I'll quickly go through them. The East Central Ward, Oliver Street, and South Street, the North Ward, again, has quite a few schools. I noticed a couple of schools aren't on there anymore, but the schools that are highlighted in yellow have consistently been on this report since I started this highlight back in October. So the North School, Dr. William H. Horton, First Avenue, Louis Munoz, Marin, McKinley, Park Elementary, Rafael Hernandez, Ridge Street, and Salome Urena. So those are the north schools. Then we have our specialized school, Early Childhood North, 14th Avenue, and Chancellor Avenue from the southwest. So thanks again for continuing to maintain your data. I did point out that the schools that have always had 0 errors whenever I check, you may want to, in some future chit chat, share your strategies for maintaining your data. And every school should be thinking of a way or a process, whether you're running the reports at the end of the week or the beginning of the week, but develop a system where, you two can have close to 0 errors in your PowerSchool whenever we run the reports. Some PowerSchool updates over the break, you probably didn't even notice if you weren't in school. So there were some security updates that were done to align with the NBOE cybersecurity policies. You may have or may not have been asked to complete some training related to cybersecurity. If you haven't, it's probably coming up in the future. But as you continue to use PowerSchool, which is our student information system, you have access to pertinent information that we want to keep secure. So continue to use strong passwords, lock your device when, if you have to walk away from your computer, Control-Alt-Delete, lock your device, avoid any phishing scheme that, people might try to send you emails with hyperlinks that are, detrimental to our system, or even send you a call, tell you, there's an issue, can you give me your password or information to log on? Any doubt, send us an email, ask us before you give out your information to anyone. The SIS team folders continue to be available, and we are making some changes to how we present that data to you. So I know Dr. Izad was in communication with you regarding some errors that we shared with certain schools. So we're trying to finalize how we're sharing information and what information we're sharing. So be on the lookout for that. And in the meantime, as we share information with you or, various error reports, give us some feedback. If it makes sense, if it doesn't make sense, if you have ideas of how we can improve and make things better so that everybody else is able to process and use the resource effectively. All right, so the unified data reports are the reports that we ask clerks to run. So these are about 9 reports that are found under the SQL reports, data management, unified data. So they all start with unified data. So there are 2 enrollment reports found under system reports, membership and enrollment, school enrollment audit, and section enrollment audit. So these are the reports that I mentioned before. Schools have run these reports and fixed the errors, and that's why they had 0 errors when I run their the SLT report. So make sure that you're running these reports. They are on our support website for you to access. The documentation of how to run them and how to fix the errors are all there. If you're new and you need help, reach out to one of us and we can walk you through the process. So we have come to understand there are quite a few duplicate records that are still showing up and we're not being notified about them. So it is very important that we prevent duplicate records, right? Prevent them, and how do we do that? We make sure that we search PowerSchool before we create a record, before we think and create a new record. And so that's done through the start page, people, enroll students. You would try to do a variation or, a search that would either have part of the student's name. So maybe you're just searching for the first name. If it's a hyphenated name, you're searching for part of the hyphenated name. Leaving off might be certain parts of the name, and the system will find all of the names that has a part of the name. So do a thorough search before you sync or before you create a record, and based on your search results, you can narrow it down. Look at the date of birth, look at the grade. If they're graduated, then, if the results show that the record is graduated, because there's also that issue where records are being synced to the incorrect accounts, right? And if any of those two happens, we need to know about them right away because for the interest of time, I won't get into that. But if you mistakenly create a duplicate record or you sync it to the wrong record, let us know ASAP so that we don't corrupt data or start using an account that later on we will need to move information from one account to the next. So do not rename student's name. Do not take it on yourself to just name the record duplicate or student delete and then leave it like that. Send us an email. Do not rename the student's name and immediately send myself, Dr. Adnan, Babu, or Pat the record of the duplicate record, the ID of the duplicate record, as well as the original ID. All right? Send them to us, and then we'll tell you which one of the records we're going to keep, especially if the records have been in use for quite some time. If the record was just created, then more than likely we're going to tell you, okay, we'll tag the new record as the duplicate. But sometimes if the record has been in use for, say, a semester, depending on a grade level, we're going to have to decide which one. So send it to us right away, and do not rename the student's name. So these are just some examples, and these are fictitious. I changed up some of the names. So this, when we search PowerSchool, this is the type of stuff that we see, and it's not acceptable, unacceptable. So, and all duplicate records should be inactive. So right here, peer, duplicate, Donan, duplicate, active at high school, unacceptable. If it's a duplicate, it should be transferred out. And again, we have a system of marking and tagging the student's record accordingly. As of yesterday, we had 1,846 duplicate grades. So we're on to now duplicate grades. We have close to 2,000 duplicate grades. So we need to fix these before Q2. And this is important, especially in the high schools where duplicate grades will impact the mid-year ranking. So there is a reason for duplicate grades. In some schools, elementary schools, there are students who are enrolled twice in a course because they're in an elective or an advisory. If you know that's the reason why, that's fine. Any other reason, they need to be deleted. In addition, there is a reason why the duplicate grades happen. That's because you have overlapping enrollments. So if you have overlapping enrollments that does not relate to, an advisory or something like that, then that needs to be fixed. Otherwise, when we store grades again in Q2, you're going to have another set of duplicate grades. So we want to fix these, erase these duplicates because they're going to continue to be printed on the report card. Erase what's necessary, fix the overlap in enrollment so that you don't create another set of errors when we store grades on February 5th, I think. So the next thing that we talked about was the out-of-sync grades. So since we store grades and the grade books are open, teachers have the ability to make changes in the grade book. Sometimes these changes are unintentional. And so run the report, see what the changes are. Any change that is highlighted in red means that since we store the grade book grade has been reduced or decreased. If the change is in green, it means that since we store the grade, something happened in the grade book where the grade book grade increased. So there needs to be a conversation with the administrators and the teachers who are supervising, administrators who are supervising the teachers to see what is the cause of that and to make a decision. So if the information that's currently in the grade book is correct, then someone needs to go ahead and complete an historical grade change so that the information on the report card reflects what's in the grade book. Now, if the grade has decreased since there was parent-teacher conference and grades were distributed, we do not recommend that you reduce a student's grade. If they had a C for Q1, and now in the grade book there's an F, I don't think that's acceptable, right? I mean, I am saying I don't think so, but it's not appropriate to reduce a student's grade as the cycle ended. So look at those changes. If the grade is incorrect, it's probably that an assignment was added to the quarter mistakenly. And so look at the assignments that are currently in Q1, and if something the date needs to be changed to a date that falls within Q2, which is between November 10th and January 28th. So that's the dates that Q2 falls under, and all assignments intended for Q2 should have those dates. All right, so that's it for the out of sync grade, and it's important to change those grades in the grade book if it's a mistake, because at the end of the school year, the final grade will be calculated based on the information that's in the grade book. All right, verifying PowerSchool contacts. So we touched on this a bit. We're going to focus on this in our next chit chat, but we did go over the document that was shared in principal points, and it is our intention to start to make sure that each student has a primary contact that has data and web access, that has custody status identified, and that it's a prioritized list of contacts and relationships, and each person has a permission as to why they're on the student's account as a contact. And there are 2 reports in SQL reports that you can run that shows you students who are missing emails as well as students who are missing contacts. So that's under SQL reports, contacts, and you'll see the list of 2 types of reports you can run. And then the last thing that we touched on was the Saturday tutoring attendance. So Darren sent out information to schools today, and this is guidance as to how to take attendance. First, the clerks need to change the lead teacher to the person that's actually coordinating and overseeing Saturday school, right? So currently, there is someone assigned as a lead teacher. It may not be the correct person. So as the clerk, we're asking that you go in and change the lead teacher to the person that's actually managing Saturday school. The other step is to add, so if it's the 3rd grade, you're going to add all the teachers that are going to be teaching 3rd grade, add them as co-teachers. The next thing to remember is that attendance will be taken on the Friday prior to Saturday. We didn't add Saturday as a day to take attendance, but Friday is the day. So Saturday school is going to start on the 6th. The teachers are going to take attendance on Friday, January 5th. The other thing to note is that we're not asking teachers to create any assignments. We're only using this for attendance purposes. The last thing is the newsletter. So the newsletter for January is available. It touches on some of the things I talked about, the report card distribution cycle. So that newsletter, this newsletter is on our support website. You can access it, you can read it, you can print it. And what else? The support form, continue to use the support form instead of emailing members of the team. So we all monitor the responses and try to get to your request as soon as we can. And again, it is on our support website. What else? All right, so in closing, our next chat is January 18th. Until then, fix your duplicate grades, fix any overlapping enrollment, submit any duplicate records that you may find on the support form, run your out of sync error report, and fix those issues that may arise from that, and start to think about preparing for the Q2 report card. So that's it. Thank you for watching. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to send me an email or your SIS contact, Dr. Adnan, Babu, or Pat, with any questions or concerns or feedback. Thank you, and have a happy New Year again.